Hey guys, welcome back. If you're new to my channel or simply not subscribed, my name is Brittany, and definitely make sure to hit that subscribe button. These are all from Sebastian. He did them, I think, like a year ago, and we can't bring ourselves to take them down. I feel like it's such a little kid thing, just putting stickers everywhere. I remember putting them all over my nightstand, and my mom had to scrape them off. But anyways, let's dive into the topic for today. Myrtles Plantation lies on 650 acres in St. Francisville, Louisiana. The land was bought by David Bradford, who was a general in the American Revolutionary War. Now, David would go on to play a leadership role in the Whiskey Rebellion in 1791 to 1794. This meant that he could no longer serve in the military after that because he was kind of like on the run. He went on to purchase a piece of land from a Spanish colony, and he built a house on that land in 1796, named it Laurel Grove. David lived in this house by himself for years until he was officially pardoned by President John Adams, and that's when he moved his wife and his children to the property. But that wasn't until 1799. He lived separately from his wife and his children for 3 years. Years later, one of David's friends and also one of his law students, Mark Woodruff, who was 35 at the time, ended up marrying David's daughter, Sarah, who was only 14 at the time, which I find absolutely disgusting, but it wasn't uncommon back then. Now, in most places, that would be illegal. In some places, it's still legal, which is just mind-blowing. After David passed, the property would be passed down to his daughter, Sarah, and her husband, Clark. Life would just be filled with grief, which leads us to what is probably the most popular spirit on the plantation, Chloe. Legend has it that Clark Woodruff was deemed an honest man. However, I don't know how honest he actually was, because he would go on to pursue Chloe. Obviously, he's married, so that's not okay. And it didn't even take long after, for him to start doing that after the property was theirs. Chloe was a slave girl, and Clark would make advances onto Chloe, and Chloe felt like she couldn't refuse. She was a slave to the family, and if she were to refuse, that could mean really harsh punishments or even death. Chloe's job as a slave was to care for the Woodruff's children, and if she had refused, she could have been sent to work in the blistering sun, or again, even death. The punishments that slaves got were insanely horrible. These drastic, insane punishments for literally nothing. She began having an intimate affair with Clark that lasted a few years. That's Freya, if you hear screaming at all. She talks and babbles really loudly. Chloe started worrying that Clark's wife, Sarah, would find out about their affair, that she would be punished by his wife. And other reports say that she was worried that Clark had set her eyes on another slave girl, and that would mean that she would get sent out into the fields or worse. No confirmation, really, if Sarah knew. Honestly, she probably did, but she might not have. It wasn't uncommon for plantation owners, specifically husbands, to cheat on their wives with the slaves, which is just, it's horrible. It's all disgusting. but it wasn't uncommon. It's more like hush-hush, but again, not uncommon. But it also wasn't uncommon for the wives to be treated badly. And because they were treated badly and they had no power, they took that out on the slaves. So it really can go either way here. She could have known and just felt like she didn't have the power to do anything, or she might not have known at all. Anyways, Chloe was caught eavesdropping by Clark. So he had sent for her ear to be chopped off. That was her punishment. And since then, she wore a turban around her head to cover her disfigured ear. Despite her punishment, Chloe still wanted to keep her place in the house safe, because being in the house was a lot better than being out in the sun. So she came up with a plan. One night when Clark was away, she decided to put oleander leaves in a cake. She wanted to make Sarah Woodruff and their daughters sick. That way she could nurse them back to health and gain favor with the family. However, the plan went horribly wrong because they all died. They ended up killing Sarah and the kids by poisoning them. Now, that wasn't her initial plan, but when the slaves had found out what Chloe had done, they were afraid that they would get punishment by association. So they went on and took matters into their own hands. They hung her by a nearby tree, and when she was dead, they cut her down and threw her in the river. And it's said that Chloe's spirit is still at the plantation. Guests will hear strange noises and even see a young girl wearing a turban. That's believed to be Chloe. The owners of Myrtles Plantation actually think that they had caught Chloe on camera. In 1992, they took a photo of the property, and this was to get an insurance policy for the house. Now, they had just completely forgotten about this photo. They didn't really pay much attention to it until a researcher had asked to use the photo in a postcard. And when this researcher enlarged the photo, so you could see a lot more details, he noticed that there was someone in the photo. Appeared to be a young girl. And the owner of the plantation swears that no one was in view of the, where the camera was pointed when the photo was taken. That is actually believed to be Chloe. There's also a mirror that's supposed to be a very haunted mirror that is located in the house. And it's said to contain the spirits of Sarah Woodruff and their two daughters. A mirror was in the house when Sarah and her daughters were killed. And like I mentioned in my mirror video, it was tradition to cover up mirrors after a death. And this mirror wasn't covered. It's believed that it trapped their spirits inside of it. There's even handprints that will appear inside the glass. So people will go and they'll try to wipe it off, they'll try to clean it, and the handprints will remain until they decide to disappear on their own. Some have even seen the children themselves appear in the mirror. Woodruff lives there until 1834. And then he sold the plantation to Ruffin Gray Sterling. Ruffin went on to remodel the house, and he renamed it after the crepe myrtle trees that were located on the property. After that, the property passed to William Winter, who had married one of Ruffin's daughters. However, in 1871, William was shot in the chest on the front porch of the main house by an unknown shooter. It said that he ran into the home and stumbled up the stairs, collapsing on the 17th step. Some reports say that he died in his wife's arms on the 17th step, and other reports say that his wife found him on the 17th step. But no matter what, it was the 17th step. There is a spirit on the plantation that is reported staggering up the steps and disappearing when it reaches the 17th step. So could that be William Winter reliving his final moments, which is just horrible? And after William's death, the property continued to pass through different hands until it was purchased by the Myers family in the 1970s. This family had opened up the plantation as a bed and breakfast. And when they did this, the guests started to notice strange activity. Other activity includes girls in old-timey clothes being seen in the windows. And there's also reports of a Native American woman in a gazebo that is located on the property. It's believed that this plantation was built on Native American burial grounds before the Spanish had seized the land. It belonged to the Tunica. It's not 100% confirmed that this plantation was built on these burial grounds. However, it is something that is widely believed. And if that's the case, well, that's a lot of bad juju. Anytime something is built on burial grounds, like, it's not a good thing. It usually angers the spirits quite a bit. You don't want to do it. Just something, just leave alone, let them rest. Let me know what you guys think about Myrtle's Plantation. If you guys have ever been there, it's definitely a place that I would love to go in and just kind of see what energy I get, see what I can find, and maybe see Chloe. Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments down below. Make sure to like this video, hit the subscribe button, and until next time, I love you guys. Bye.